Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of film, dance, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I'm thrilled to have as my guest today on Creative Focus, Cleveland theater acting legend, Mr. Rodney Johnny Dollar Freeman. Rodney, welcome to Creative Focus, man. Let's chop it up.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So, how did all this come about for you? When did you start performing?
Okay, I retired from the Air Force in 1980. I retired in Omaha, Nebraska, and no one in my family never went to college.
Okay.
So I said, now I'm retired, I'm gonna go to college. So I went to the University of Nebraska there at Omaha.
Okay.
And I majored in drama, and the
Oh.
bug bit me, and I've been acting ever since.
Now that's something that I didn't even know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that's how you got in it. So when did you come to Cleveland?
I came to Cleveland in 1981 from Omaha. From Omaha, Nebraska. I retired in 80 and I went to the University of Nebraska, majored in drama. Then my mother got ill and I had to come back to Cleveland. So I came to Cleveland in 1981.
Okay. What was you remember your first show? You remember your first show in Nebraska?
Yes, my first show in Nebraska was The Blood Knot.
The Blood Knot.
By Fugard.
Yeah.
Two men in a South African shanty for 3 hours. And that was a memorable experience for me. I got called, that play there is what got me really motivated and got me started in the theater, because after I did that performance, me and my brother, after we did that performance, I started getting calls. I got a call from the Omaha Community Playhouse.
Okay.
That's where the Fondas and the Marlon Brandos got started. And the dean called me into his office and said, you don't walk in the Omaha Community Playhouse. They seen you in The Blood Knot and they want you to play Fly the Butler in Sweet Bird of Youth. And they said, Rodney, aren't you excited? And I was like, I had just begun.
Right.
So that's how it all started, you know.
And now you don't even have to audition. Everybody's calling you.
You know, that's the truth, but I had to work at that. It's all about commitment. And that's what I tell my young actors that I talk to. I've often been asked by directors to speak to the cast, and I've always explained to them that it's all about commitment.
So what do you enjoy most about performing?
The audience. It's a feeling within yourself to know that at the end of the production, the response from the audience, it's a feeling that comes on to me that knows that I have did my best. I've been faithful to the play. I've been faithful to my director. I've been faithful to the audience. And to see them leave the theater happy, knowing that I've made them either happy or I've made them cry or I made them sad, it's a feeling of fulfillment to know that I've done the best that I could to please them.
You know, I've talked about this on several of my shows. I saw a show, The Whipping Man, at the Cleveland Playhouse, 3-character play. And after the play was over, the entire audience rose as one to give a standing ovation. And the actors who were on stage receiving that ovation, you could look at their demeanor and see the body language, how they embrace that. Unless you've been on stage to experience that, it's like you can't explain it to people.
You can't.
You can't explain it to people. It's the greatest feeling in the world, even though I don't like to act anymore, I still relish in that. So I know what you're talking about, and even afterwards, you know. So what was the first play you did in Cleveland? Do you remember?
Ooh, yes. That's a good story. The first play I did in Cleveland was Coming to the Mercy Seat.
And where was that?
That was at the Karamu Theater. It was directed by I'm getting old. I don't remember her name, but Mr. Spivey was the artistic director at the time.
Okay.
And I had been out of theater for a while now, and because I left Omaha and I came to Cleveland in '81, and I didn't get a part. I didn't pursue acting. Once I got to Cleveland, I was taking care of my mother.
Gotcha.
And I don't mind telling people this. I got hooked on drugs. I got hooked on crack cocaine. And I was miserable. I was completely, totally tore down, closet crackhead.
How did you defeat that? What
Mr.
motivated?
Spivey saved my life.
Terrence Spivey.
I've told many of people that, and they look at me like I'm crazy. But Mr. Spivey saved my life. I know that in my heart. And what he did, the reason why I say that is because Mr. Spivey seen me in Coming to the Mercy Seat, that first play that I did at the Karamu. And the director, a lady, she was from out of town, I can't remember her name. She said, "Rodney, Mr. Spivey asked about you, asked who you were." Because I had never been to the Karamu. And I said, "He did?" And she said, "Yeah, he's the artistic director here. He's, you know." And I said, "Oh, I felt good that the artistic director asked who I was."
The artistic director of Karamu,
yeah,
too.
of Karamu. And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, I started getting roles back to back, back to back. Everybody started coming up to me. And I'm a humble actor. I like the attention. Like I like the attention that I'm getting right now, you know, but I'm not proud, I'm not boastful, I'm a humble person. And he started putting me back to back, even with you, when we played Dream on Monkey Mountain.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay, I'm jumping ahead.
No,
sorry.
No, you're fine.
But
I'm just saying, you know I was going to bring Dream on Monkey Mountain up.
He restored my faith, because I thought I had lost it. I thought I would never get on stage again. But he kept at me, kept giving me parts, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't easy. People ask me, "Rodney, how did you get off of crack?" It was not easy. Little bit here, little bit there, another production, staying away from it. I don't go on stage with no crack. I've been off of crack now for 15 years.
Congratulations.
If not, and I feel good. I'm 80 years old.
You look good.
And yeah, and I'm still here, and I'm still doing what I love. I'm still doing what God blessed me with. I love to make people happy. Theater is my life. That's all I want to do.
So what's your process for learning lines? Because I know a lot of actors have a lot of different
that's
ways.
That's in my when I talk to young people. I'll tell you this story. Mr. Spivey had me talk to the cast of this last play that I did about the Clotilda. And I always talk to all of them. I've talked to many cast members, younger people. I love talking to the young people. But I tell them that you have three choices. You either want to be an actor, number one. Number two, you want to be a good actor. Or number three, you want to be a great actor. And if you want to be a great actor, you have to work at it. You have to be committed, like I said before, you have to be committed to the play, to the production, the director. You have to be committed to yourself. Many young people, if I ask them what is commitment, they know what the definition of commitment is, but they don't know what commitment entails. They don't know what they got to give up. I don't sugarcoat it for them. What they got to give up for commitment. Just like you're a director. When you give me my part, my role, I'm committed to you. I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to the playwright. I'm committed to the director. I'm committed to the audience. Did I go off your question?
You answered it.
I did? Okay. But I explained to them, I have to use an example, so I use myself as an example. If you want to be a great actor, as far as your lines are concerned, when I get my play, my script, whoever gives it to me, I take that script home. I don't go to bed for 24 hours, but I'm not studying lines yet. I'm going over my script and I'm thinking about who I'm talking to, what relationship I have with them. And I'm looking for movements, gestures with my hands, how I'm speaking, changing tones, body language, saying what I can be doing when I'm saying this, what I can be doing when I'm saying this. Every scene has a tempo. I'm looking for the tempo of this scene. It's just like a writer when he's writing. If he just wrote every scene in his play in one set tempo, I mean, it's going to be like, you know, right. Each scene is supposed to have, an actor needs to know the tempo of that scene, who he's talking to, the gestures that he's going to use, which type of voices he's going to use, how is he going to walk, how is he going to talk. Someone said to me, Rodney, who's your favorite actor? And I tell them, and then they look at me like, don't you like Denzel Washington? Of course I like Denzel Washington. But when I go see Denzel Washington, I'm just going to see Denzel Washington. I don't want anyone to come to see Rodney Freeman in a play and say, I know that's Rodney Freeman, but that ain't Rodney Freeman. That person up there is somebody completely, totally different from Rodney. When I look at Denzel, I see Denzel all the time. Each play, he's doing a different character, but he's not walking. He walks Denzel. He talks Denzel. Give me Samuel L. Jackson. That's my man. Because when I go to see Samuel, he's different all the time. He walks different. He talks different. He's not set. And that's what they call character actors. I prefer being a character actor. I love being a character actor. Where is it that we can go and live our life and go to other lands, speaking a different dialogue?
Other times.
Yep. Travel around the world, can be Shakespeare one moment, can be Corporal Lestrade the next moment, be Johnny Dollar the it ain't nothing that I want to do. So when I get that script, I tell the young people, you don't have to do it like I do it, but I'll be trying to show them what commitment means. I take that script home for 24 hours. I don't set it down. Now after that, I keep that script with me all the time. If I'm going to catch the bus, I got my script with me. If I'm going to walk my dog, I got my script with me. If I'm cooking, I'm going through my lines. If I'm soaking in a tub, I got my script with me. All day long, I've heard so many excuses from young and old. I'm just so tired. This role is so hard for me. I'm putting so much into this character. It's just, Rodney, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm working double time, overtime, triple time. I got my kids to take care of. I go to school part-time. I tell my young actors, don't get in this. Don't get over your head. Relax. Don't take this on if you got your plate full.
Right.
If you got your plate full, don't do this. There's a technique. Am I long-winded?
You're fine.
There's a technique that I
teach.
Let you know. There's a technique that I teach. You sure will. There's a technique that I use that I tell the young kids. There's a scientific proven fact, but you gotta practice at it. The most people sit down to study their lines. They read the line, the first line, Rodney Freeman went to the store last night. Rodney Freeman went to the store last night. Rodney Freeman went to the store last night. Then they go to the second line. They do the same thing. Then somewhere down the line, they go back up and try to remember. That's not the way to study lines. The scientific method of studying lines is you have a short-term memory and you have a long-term memory. The only way to get your lines to go into your long-term memory is Rodney Freeman went to the store last night. It's a slow, drawn out as long as you can. And you say that 10 or 12 times, then you go to your next line and you keep on going and keep on going. And you do this at night before you go to sleep. That's another thing.
And it sinks in?
It sinks in.
Is that the process you use?
That's the process that I use. But everybody has their own process. It's no right or wrong. If you want to speed read and think that you're getting your lines, if you do it my way, and you measure the time that you start from the time that you finish that paragraph, and I got that down pat. If you measure from the time you did it, doing it fast, and doing it at the time that I did it, doing it slow, you're going to come out on top. You're going to be way ahead.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at your technique.
Mm-hmm.
I got a clip of the Mighty Scarabs, an East Tech story, where you played the legendary Johnny Dollar. So we're going to take a look at your technique for learning lines. All right?
Oh, wow.
Here's Rodney Freeman as Johnny Dollar in the Mighty Scarabs, an East Tech story that was actually one of the top 10 films in the city in 2015 at the Karamu House, directed by Christopher Johnson. Let's take a look.
I learned the number game from Red John. used to cut school and run numbers for him. He drove a red Fleetwood with a coon tail in the back. He wore dark glasses, even in the winter. Said his eyes hurt him from writing so many numbers. Said his legs pained him from so much walking to pick up numbers. Used to walk with a gold-plated cane. Red John died at the Mazzaro Brothers Numbers house. Red John screamed 736 at the top of his lungs. Dropped dead. Folks said that red Fleetwood started up and went home without him the night he died. Said that caddy was so used to leaving the numbers house at 7 o'clock that he left without him.
Why don't you stop, Johnny Dollar?
I ain't lying.
I heard the same story from Leroy King.
Good night, Irene.
Don't encourage him, 6'5".
Red John was a legend around here.
A legend in his own mind.
I ain't lying.
Please.
Where can poor black folks get some extra cash? Yeah, you can shoot some craps, get in a hot card game, you can sell some reefer, smack, or glue, make your mark selling heroin or cocaine. A black man can put his bow-legged woman out on the corner or go around the Ohio gas station on East 40th. But why should he? He can play a number. If the number falls, he a winner. He back in the race.
And if the number don't fall?
It might fall tomorrow.
Or next week. Or next month. And while he's sitting up there playing that little bit of money that he's trying to make fall, he need to take that little bit of change and pay his rent or his light bill.
Numbers give poor black folks an opportunity. I didn't start eating catfish and art seafood till 336 fell in the big bond. I didn't own a Fleetwood till 829 fell in the small stock. 432 and triple fours got me 20 new suits and 10 pair of snakeskin shoes. Numbers put Johnny Dollar back in the race.
Sometimes I play if I feel it.
So what do you remember about that production, Rodney?
Johnny Dollar. That's what I remember about that production. Johnny Dollar. I remember the whole cast and the fun that we had, but I love Johnny Dollar.
People used to say to me, you need to write a play just called Johnny Dollar.
I agree with that.
He needs to have his own show. I mean, no, I'm being honest. That's what people told me.
I would like that. You know that. I would like that. Yeah, but Johnny Dollar, I loved him. That's one of the plays that I won't forget, like the Blood Knot. I won't forget the Blood Knot. I won't forget Johnny Dollar because he was special to me. He was like a fantasy like I always wanted to be, you know. Why do you think people like Johnny Dollar so much? Why do you think he stood out? I think Johnny Dollar stood out because he was a happy, fun-loving character to me. But yet he was no nonsense. He was cool. He talked cool. He walked cool. That was the hardest thing for me to do, but we'll get on that. But the audience loved him, and I'm not bragging, but when I walked out onto that stage the first time, dressed down to the bone with my blue suede shoes on, and you know, just pimping, just cool. And he had his lines, good night, Irene. Good night, Good night, Irene. And when I got that first laugh, that first scene, when I first came out, when I got that first laugh, oh, it was on then. It was on then.
And remember, you used to always say, I'm on my way to see the Masario
I'm
brothers.
yes, I'm going to see the Masario brothers. Get this money.
Do you believe that, as a performer, roles stay with you for a lifetime? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe that totally. Every role that I have played, and I've played about every role that. Yeah, I've played every role that that they ever made, except I've never played a cross-dresser or anything like that. But every other role I've played, and I remember all of my roles, and I've loved all of my roles.
In 2006, we met.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the scene production of the year, Dream on Monkey Mountain, directed by Terrence Spivey, a 3-hour spectacle. You played Corporal Lestrade. I played Macaque. You were throwing me all over the jail cell.
I'm so sorry. I treated you so bad.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. And I haven't forgot it either.
I don't know how you put up with me.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that production at Karamu, directed by Terrence Spivey. Because that was one of the roles he called you in for. I had 13 monologues.
I know, and you are outstanding.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not trying to stroke you because I'm on your radio program or whatever. I'm not. You were outstanding. You, Mr. Calhoun, you inspired me doing that play. Because I'm gonna tell you something. That play was hard for me. And when I say hard for me, it's because the old gray horse wasn't like he used to be back then when we did that play. Right. And Mr. Spivey was killing me. He had me running. Remember when I had to chase the fireflies and running all over the stage?
Remember, I was on stage during the whole intermission.
Through the whole.
But that's what made that show so fabulous.
Fabulous, yeah. It was different.
It was powerful.
Yeah, it was.
And even though they mentioned that it was a 3-hour spectacle, they talked about all the things that made it so powerful.
And the people stayed.
They
stayed. We had them trapped in their seats. They couldn't move off their seats. And that was a memorable play.
Now let's talk about this other project that you did for Terrence Spivey in Mobile, Alabama. Talk about that.
That was an experience, a learning experience also. I had been talking to Mr. Spivey, and he told me that he was doing this play in Mobile, Alabama. It was about the last slave ship, and light bulbs started going off. I'm just like, what? The last slave ship to America? And he said, yes, and the name of it was the Clotilda. And it left Africa and came to Mobile, Alabama, and the owner of the ship burnt the ship, and because it was against the law in 1860 to transport slaves. Slavery had been abolished. And what happened is that my character, Captain Foster, had built that ship, and he was the owner and the builder and the gentleman that put all of this in progress that wanted to go to Africa and get these slaves, make some money. He made a bet. This whole thing came about over a bet. He made a bet that he could bring back all these slaves and make twice as much money. And it happened, and when Captain Foster came back with the slave ship, they landed in Mobile, Alabama, and then when they found out that the government was after them, they burnt the ship. Well, I'm asking, I got upset. I got upset because I was saying to myself, why is it that I haven't heard of this in my own time, in my history? Why has this not been told?
I didn't know about it either.
I know, but there's people in Mobile, Alabama that knew about it, and then I came up with the conclusion that they still trying to hide the truth from us. That's the only.
And so Terrence was commissioned to write the play about the story.
He was commissioned to write the play about the story, and it took off. I mean, it took off. It spread in Mobile, Alabama. But the thing that really impressed me about the cast and the people that worked with the cast, the musicians and everything, I'm usually skeptical about going to a place where people don't know me, how they're gonna receive me.
Right.
Because I've been in situations where I've walked into a cast room and it's unfortunate, but there's some actors that look at each other and say, there he is, you know, he the one to think he all that. He the one to think he's, you know, somebody great. And that's not me at all.
But they embraced you?
They embraced me, Calhoun. I mean, as soon as I walked in there, you know, I didn't know how they were going to accept me. They loved on me.
You came from Virginia.
Virginia, right? to Mobile. I caught a train, and it took me 36 hours to get there on train. And when I got there, my back was killing me. So
how many performances did you do?
We only did 2.
Did 2, okay.
But they were 2 good performances, and the place was packed. It was packed. They put me up. I didn't have to do nothing. They put me up. I was living in a house with Terrence, and a 3-bedroom home. They put me up. I didn't have to do anything.
How long were you there for?
I was there for approximately 2 weeks.
Okay. About
approximately 2 weeks, and they took me out and showed me every Mobile, and the kids loved me. Mr. Spivey had me speak to the cast about my technique, what I just told you about.
Okay.
And they just loved me. So we all call us family now. We're family. We're all family. We still keep in touch. There's a chat room on my phone where all of us get together. And
is there any possibility of doing the play again?
Yes, they're talking about it. If it's going to be done again, I'll be there. I'm going to be there even if it's not done again, because these kids and the cast members and everybody that was involved with this, I got to go back.
Now, you were interviewed by Vicky Trotter.
Yes,
about this show.
yes.
I have a clip of that.
Yeah.
I have a clip of that.
She shocked me.
She shocked you?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. She was coming out and I was getting ready to leave. I wanted to go home. I was tired. And she go, no, Rodney, stop. We got to do it. I said, I can't do that. I can't. I said, I don't have to. I said, my independent and dependent clause will leave a lot to be desired. I don't want people to know how my English is. I said, oh, you're going to be great. You're going to be great. So okay. I let her go on and do it.
Let's take a look at that clip.
Okay.
So tell us, how did you get involved with this play?
This has been a learning experience for me.
How so?
I had never heard anything, and that upset me, about no Clotilda, about no last slave ship. And I was trying to figure out why in my history haven't I been told about this?
Right.
So it was kind of a shock to me, but it's been a learning experience. I called Mr. Spivey and I told him, I said, you got to put me in this. I said, I don't want no money. Just get me, tell me how to get to Mobile, and I'll be there. And I took a train for 36 hours
Wow.
to get here, and it's been, the cast just love me. They call me Pops, and they just love me, and they've been helpful for me. And it's been a beautiful experience. I want to come back next year. This play out to be nationwide, because these kids that did this last night and tonight, they are professionals. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I have seen professional actors couldn't do what these kids did today.
I told Tara Spivey, the director and the writer of this play, I told Tara the exact same thing, that they exercise a level of professionalism and expertise that you got people that have been in business for decades don't have.
Yeah,
like very
true.
Convincing. And I loved your role as Billy Foster, and you stood there, and I could feel the vulnerability, I could feel the regret.
That was the hardest part when I started reading the script. You know, you can just speak lines and people will hear what you say and they'll understand it. But that ending speech, when he realizes that he has to burn his ship, I thought about it. I said, this man loved this ship. He had to build it. And I really didn't think that he was like Mayor. I think Captain Foster got caught up in the time, not condoning what he did, but he got caught up in the time era, and he made that bet.
Deal with the devil.
And I had to make a quick transition into letting the audience know how distraught I was over burning my ship. That was the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, I hope that one day they'll do the show up here in Cleveland. I love to see it. So what's new on the horizon for you these days, Rodney? What are you working on?
This one with you, which I'm excited about.
Blues for Early Autumn.
Yes, sirree, buddy.
Tell them a little bit about the show. Quickly.
Quickly? I can't do nothing quick. I can't. But I love the piece. You wrote a beautiful piece, and the thing about it, I used to box, okay. And I said, when I read the piece, I said to myself, I said, dang, I want to be. You want to be
Red Hat.
I want to be Red Hat.
Yeah.
But then after I read it and went through it. I love Ringside. Ringside is a character. He's not a leader. He's a follower, and his main hero is the one that he follows, who is the main character of the play, Red Hat. And Red Hat and Ringside grew up together. They I think maybe Ringside is maybe a little bit older than Red Hat, but nevertheless, he loves him some Red Hat. And
the emphasis of the play film
is on lupus.
It's on lupus.
It's on lupus.
A disease that decimates the African American females in all over the world. So that's the emphasis.
Right. And what I like about it is the way that you intermingled it both, you know, the lupus disease and the boxing thing together, when he talks about, you know, there's no backing down, no running, no retreat. the message that you give to the people that got lupus. I found that amazing.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Is there anything about your theater film career that you would change if you could?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Anything that you might do differently?
There's one thing that I would have done differently. If it wasn't for my mother being sick, I wouldn't have tried to make it in theater in Cleveland. I would have went on to New York. So that's the only regret that I have, because through my 40 years, people have said, Rodney, you should have been to New York or to Hollywood.
Hey, it's not too late.
And
if it's not too late. It's never too late.
It's never too late, but I have to be realistic with myself, Calhoun. See, the reason why I say that it's not going to happen is because I'm a realist, and I don't have, I don't know that technical part of becoming a nationwide actor. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to promote myself. I don't have an agent. I don't have any. A lady came up to me one time. If I'm talking too long, shut me up. A lady came up to me one time. A lady came up to me one time at the Karamu. You know how we used to stand out after we take our bow?
Right.
She came up to me and she says, Rodney, I didn't come here to see the play. I came to see you. I've seen everything that you've done, and you're just so good. She said, you need to come to New York. I'm from New York. New York would love you. And I looked at her and I said, well, I tell you what, you put me up somewhere in New York, pay for my apartment, feed me. And I said, tell me where to go, what theaters to go to, how to get known, and I'll come to New York. She looked at me and laughed. She said, that ain't gonna happen. But I would have went to New York.
Well, you know what? I got faith in you. I think you still may make it, man. I want to thank you for being on the show too.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Man. And as long as I'm directing, you got a part.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank my special guest, Rodney Freeman, for hanging out with us today on Creative Focus. So that's it, Cleveland. We're out. But remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV 20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time. Be well. Be safe.